Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. It was 1971 when the Haynes family first launched their business. 50 years later, they are now the biggest locally owned pest control company in East Tennessee. That means when you use them, your money stays right here in East Tennessee. You're not going to say that with many pest control companies here. Not to mention the fact they're just doggone good. That's why I use them. SoutheastTermite.com to learn more. Spring has sprung, and that means critters are going to be trying to get into your home. Kill them. Southeast Termite and Pest Control. All right. My Buddhist father won't like that. I'm exaggerating with the Buddhist thing. Somebody will email. National target is what Rick Barnes was after the tournament the other day. You had some national guys. One of them tweets, "As for the Vols, woof, UT was ranked 12th in preseason, have at least 2 potential first-round picks on the roster, but it's been up and down for 3 months." Pete Thamel. Rick Barnes is reminding everyone why he's a coach that's hard to trust in the NCAA tournament. Couldn't get to the Sweet 16 with Kevin Durant at Texas, and is an amazing 0-5 as the coach in 8 versus 9 games. Next. There we go. Rick Barnes making it easier for Josh Heupel to exceed expectations this fall in Knoxville, regardless of how things unfold. That's pretty good. Rick Barnes has now been eliminated in the NCAA tournament by a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and thanks to Oregon State, 12 seed. And then Dan Wilkins says the pretty brutal performance in the Vols, who shot 33% from the field, and we somehow jumped ahead to the next graphic. Never mind. Let's come off of that graphic. There we go. Perhaps the country's most underachieving team. Anyway, your thoughts on Rick Barnes' job, performance, and job security?
Job security, I would say job security. It's like get off that. Like he's not going anywhere. He shouldn't go anywhere. If he wants to, at this rate, if he's deserving of another 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, he is a Hall of Fame coach. He's putting yourself in a position to compete for SEC championships and make it to the Sweet 16 every year. I mean, that's just what the type of program that he's built.
The Fire Barnes crew took a huge hit last night when Texas lost again. When Texas lost to a 14 seed. They went out, got rid of Barnes, spent big money, got the hottest name in the country, and for 6 years, Shaka Smart has been worse than Rick Barnes.
Oh, and Indiana hired the other one, Archie Miller, that was the other hotshot name at Dayton that they ended up getting. Indiana just fired him because he couldn't make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. So, guys, you in agreement here that job security shouldn't be an issue?
Absolutely. Job security is not an issue, but this wasn't Rick Barnes' best year. As good as he was 2 years ago with that team that went, 31-6, I didn't think he was able to push the right buttons with this team. COVID issues maybe, I don't know. Chemistry with freshmen and seniors, I don't know, but I didn't think this was his best season.
Chuck?
No, I mean, and I think a lot of it goes back to COVID. A lot of schools had to deal with that, obviously. But I think Tennessee could have done a better job about letting people know who was directly impacted by that. And maybe they feel like they can't. But no, Rick Barnes just needs to kind of adjust some things, tweak some things. And I think he will. I think after the game he was saying this loss hurt. This loss hurt about as bad as any loss he's had. And just sitting there and watching it unfold and nothing changing it. I wouldn't think the job security is an issue.
For now, I underline for now, I'm putting some of this year's issue on the COVID thing because typically what you see with Rick Barnes, year over year players progress. Not all, but the majority. You see guys get better. Grant Williams got better. Schofield got better. Bone got better. You see guys get better in his program. You didn't see that this year. So I wonder how much of the offseason, not having the full normal year, impacted that.
Wilkerson and Pons got better until this year.
Until this year, yeah. Now, all that said, here's my take on Rick Barnes. He's way too good a coach to fire. He's also not worth $5.2 million that he's going to make next year because those guys win Final Fours. And I know people are going to say to me, but you said you'd have paid him. That's right. I don't think he's worth it. But value depends on who's spending the money. $1,000 for a glass of water is ridiculous unless you're dying in the Sahara. Then you'll pay $1,000 for that glass of water.
That'd be Tennessee notes.
And if you're Tennessee and you've spent your entire program just looks like a battlefield with all the bodies strewn all over and giant divots in the ground, trenches. You've got somebody that can finally keep basketball between the white lines, get you in the tournament, keep you in the top 4 in the SEC year in, year out, not going to have the NCAA on your campus. To you, because somebody was coming after him, it's worth it. But the problem for him is you're going to be held to the level that a $5 million salary usually reaches, which means Final Fours. So he's in that tweener land. There's a definite ceiling, but there's also the floor. Fans don't like that. I think the loud fans, the social media fans don't like that. But we went to this graphic a little earlier. Here we go. Barnes' last 10 seasons. Now, I threw out last year because you didn't have a postseason. But his teams get worse as you go on. Now, you could make an argument that in March you're playing NCAA competition, et cetera. But you go 57% winning percentage in January, down to 55, down to 52. He's barely above 500 in March. I think that's who he is. And that's just the last 10 years. I think you can go back. The guy's been in 62 postseason tournaments, conference tournaments, CBI, NIT, NCAA. He has won 1. So if you're looking at it and you're a Tennessee fan, you just have to know, hopefully you'll do some good things in the regular season, because postseason is going to be a slog. Fair assessment? Or no? Am I overstating it?
You got to figure a way to play better in March. Basketball is a tournament sport. You can't flame out like this and expect people just to accept it and go on. I mean, you got to figure out a way to play better.
Well, I'm not saying don't try to improve. I'm just saying, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'm not going to throw myself off a building. I can't believe Rick Barnes lost in March. I kind of expect that, and I'll be surprised if it doesn't happen. That's what I'm saying.
Well, the other thing I think you've done a great job of always sharing with people is comparing it to other programs. You know, and if you look at other programs, they all have moments where they're not making Final Fours, they're not making Sweet 16s. I mean, look at Duke this year, look at Kentucky this year, and so if you can have that broader perspective, like the one comment on Twitter about, you know, he's now lost to a 1 through 12 seed. Well, you can look at that as like, man, that's terrible. Or you can look at it and be like, gosh, he's been in that many NCAA tournaments that he's had the chance to compete against that many people. Like, so it's all in the eye of the beholder. And I think there's a lot of greatness that is Coach Barnes, but there is that one piece that is out there for him of, just like till Phil Mickelson was able to win that big tournament in golf, until he does it, and he does it in a Tennessee uniform, he's always going to have that monkey on his back.
Great comparison. Great comparison. It wins a lot, but does he win the majors? You know, and that's the thing with Barnes. The problem for Barnes is it's a tournament sport.
Exactly. I mean,
so if it's a tournament sport and you're not a great tournament coach, you really can't disappoint in the regular season, which they did this year too, which is why you got so many people extra ticked. I tell you what, let's do one of these comparisons when we come back. We'll talk a little bit more about Barnes and the job security and also expectations at Tennessee. What should they be? Come on back.